My dear students, are you fine? Are you okay? Any problem? Okay. As you know, in the previous lecture or last lecture, we discussed about respiration and breathing. Respiration is a process which takes place in presence of oxygen. Okay. However, respiration can also occur in absence of oxygen. Respiration means oxidation of food to get energy. That is, you know that in the form of ATP energy, in the form of ATP, takes place in presence of oxygen as well as in absence of oxygen. Okay, on the basis of this absence and presence of oxygen, respiration is of two types. The first one is here aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration, and second is an aerobic respiration. Okay, now what is aerobic respiration? It's a type of respiration which uses oxygen, जिसमें ऑक्सीजन यूज होता है, uses oxygen. Why it is called aerobic? It is called aerobic because this type of respiration takes place in presence of air. Takes place in presence of air. That is, air contains oxygen. Air contains oxygen. Okay. What is anaerobic respiration? Anaerobic respiration, which takes place in absence of air. That means in absence of oxygen. Okay, it is called anaerobic respiration. Now, here we will first see what is aerobic respiration, how it takes place. Okay, aerobic respiration, you know that food molecule, that is glucose, in aerobic respiration gets completely broken down into carbon dioxide and water. Glucose gets completely broken down into carbon dioxide and water, okay, by oxidation. Okay, and energy is released during this process that is used by microorganisms, but that is stored in the form of ATP. This aerobic respiration can be represented here as this is glucose. As you know, the formula of glucose is C6H12O6. This is one molecule of glucose here we take. It gets converted into, first of all, pyruvate. Pyruvate. When glucose gets converted into pyruvate, it occurs through various steps. This is known as glycolysis. Glycolysis. This takes place in cytoplasm of the cell. Okay. Pyruvate, it is broken down into two molecules of pyruvic acid. Pyruvic acid. This pyruvate contains three carbon compound. Okay. Now, in presence of oxygen, this pyruvate in presence of oxygen in mitochondria, which is known as powerhouse of the cell, okay, gets converted into carbon dioxide and water. This is 6 time and this is here 6 time. And here one molecule of glucose gets converted into 30. This one molecule of glucose produces 30 ATPs. Okay, means here considerable amount of energy is produced. Considerable amount of energy is produced in aerobic respiration. Okay, and this type of respiration occurs in mitochondria, where the site of aerobic respiration is mitochondria. Okay, now what is anaerobic respiration? Anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration, you know that this type of respiration takes place in absence of oxygen. Absence of oxygen. Okay, this type of respiration occurs in absence of oxygen. Okay, now this type of respiration occurs in microscopic organisms. Microscopic organisms like that of yeast and some bacteria Okay, what happens? This glucose gets converted into pyruvate. Okay, in absence of oxygen, absence of oxygen, yeast converts this pyruvate or glucose into ethanol plus carbon dioxide, and two ATPs are produced. Two ATPs means here is this is also known as glycolysis and occurs in cytoplasm. No mitochondria is here used. Okay, yeast converts this glucose into ethanol. When glucose is converted into ethanol, by it is known as fermentation. It's called fermentation भी कहते हैं. Fermentation. Okay, here is considerable amount of energy released during glycolysis, during aerobic respiration, and less amount of energy, 2 ATPs are produced during anaerobic respiration. Okay, this is difference between. And now, as you know, human beings use aerobic respiration, but sometimes our muscle cells use anaerobic respiration. When it uses anaerobic respiration? During vigorous physical exercise, oxygen is used up. Okay, oxygen is used. Oxygen is used up fastly. Okay, this glucose during this consumption of oxygen, this glucose gets converted in muscle cells into lactic acid. Lactic acid. Okay, lactic acid, and less amount of energy is produced. Less amount. When lactic acid accumulates in the muscle cells, results into cramps. Okay, mostly occurs during you have seen during cricket match, player suffers from cramps. Why? Because muscle cells consumes oxygen faster. Okay, this glucose then converts during this process into lactic acid, and less amount of energy is produced. Okay, this is aerobic respiration and this is anaerobic respiration. If you can differentiate between aerobic and anaerobic respiration, The first point is aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen. It takes place in absence of oxygen. Okay. The site for the aerobic respiration is mitochondria. Here, the site for anaerobic respiration is cytoplasm. Okay. During aerobic respiration, this glucose is converted to carbon dioxide. Complete oxidation of glucose occurs in this. Partial oxidation of glucose occurs and in anaerobic respiration. Partial means glucose is converted into ethanol in yeast. Okay, and also it is converted into lactic acid in the muscle cells. In aerobic respiration, considerable amount of large amount of energy is produced. That is 30-80